right? How many heard it this way? Right? And then what happens? And then and finally, and you think, wow, it's so amazing. Where did this come from? It all comes from planning it ahead, planning it at the beginning. A few more coming. Very good. Hey, Brother Hal's with us all the way from outer space.
I made it.
All right, good, good, good. Want to get to basically the final information. Just looking at a few last thing about part songs. So, how many of you have heard "Someday"?
I've heard it.
I have.
Yeah, and we may have all heard it slightly differently. So, I was just remembering as I was playing with it today how many different ways I've heard it done. So I wrote a lot of it out here. I don't want to pull all that out yet. Let's see. Let's just put it here. Okay, so this would be one way to write it. Someday, someday. And actually, you know what? Before I even do that, let's just go back and look at, if you remember the classic that we looked at last time. Just listen to this one. And we'll make it a little faster for just a minute. That sound familiar?
Pocket Bells can.
So if we were, yeah, that's right, Cocklebell's Cannon. If we're going to put that in, all of a sudden it'll probably sound familiar. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Super famous. So we talked about what made that work and what made the next part of that work when we do this. Right? Does everybody remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Why does it work?
It's in thirds.
Thirds, exactly right. And if we were to write it out next to each other, you can easily see why, right? Thirds is what makes it work. And just so you know, it's going to be a little bit advanced, but this is like our last look at this stuff, right? Let me just do it this way, how to write some more advanced stuff. Now, someday actually starts off basically the same way. What if I wanted to take this note right here and put two syllables in it? So I want to say someday, this one note. What do?
Divide in half, two half notes.
Divide it in half. That's right. So it's going to have to turn into two half notes. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's someday, and then we're going to do that with all of them. Someday, someday. And then this last one, I'll do like that. So this is what we have so far. And now it's a little fast for someday, huh? So let's bring it down to here for now. Okay, does that sound familiar? Is there anybody who does not know this song, by the way?
Yes.
Only from when you played it a few weeks ago.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember if maybe I just sang it briefly. All right. Now then, the next part is basically gonna be this. Up to that last note, but can you see how everything's working in thirds? It's the same thing as that other that we already did. Does that make sense? Can everybody see
Yes,
the
sir.
thirds happening? If I were to put it here, you can see them. Oops. Yeah, you can see them happening. All right, so everybody can see that happening, right? All right. Now, the only difference is this last note is going to go down to a sol. And it's not going to be a third. Can you tell why? And it maybe those who've been in the harmony class that could tell why.
It's helping to make a one chord.
That's exactly it. Helping to make a one chord. All right. If it was in thirds, then we would get this, and it would not sound like an ending, which would be okay. It would just be a different way you did proceed with the song. It would end in a minor, but then this way, the way we had it, you will have, let's see. When we do this, oh, I see, I need to redo all that. Anyway, when you end on this one, then you get the one sound. So, wanted to show you a couple other things that we had talked about before we get to the part song writing. What actually happens in this song is we're going to shorten this note, and you might remember this little trick. I'm going to turn this note into 2, and because it's going to take your two notes, right? But then this one I'm going to bring down and tie it. So I don't know if you remember that, but this is a way to move everything over just a little bit and make it go faster in a way. But we call it syncopation. So let's go back to where we were, and let me play measure 4. Ba-da-da-da. Right? And usually the song's even slower, so I'm going to make it slower for us. Okay. Ba-ba-bum-bum. But usually the way it's sung, or at least the way I've mostly heard it sung, is like, oh, there it goes. I lost it, but like this. Too fast. Okay. So does everybody see how it was scooted over?
Mhm.
We talked about that a little bit before. And actually that is going to be done to everything here. So this is the way it's usually sung. So you get there a little bit before. This would be what we call square, straight ahead, 2 half notes. But this way you get there a little bit before. Someday, that's going to be what happens each time. This is the way it's usually sung. So it gives a little kind of more modern rhythm sound to it. Let's listen to that. Someday. That's the way I've usually heard it sung. And I know there's a lot of versions out there. I was listening to that again. But does that sound familiar?
Yes.
All right. So next, let's put in our bass. And again, I know some people, when the trumpet will sound and the dead, there's like, but I'm going to do the original version, at least for me, that I heard a long time ago. And we're going to make the rhythm match. That's one of the keys. You want to make the rhythm match when you write a song like this. And this may have been how the author started. I really don't know. But this kind of lays out the basics. Let's see what we have here. All right, does that sound familiar?
Mhm.
Okay. So let's briefly take a look at our chords. And I know not everybody was here for this, but we're going to look at our harmony, our different chords, the most basic chords. Okay, we've got the 1 starting with do, and then the fa, the 4 starts with fa, then the 5 starts with sol. And those who are in the harmony class will recognize that is exactly what's going on here. So what chord do we start with? Someday.
That's a 1.
That's a 1. So the do is in the bass, and then on top, we would build mi and sol. So we have a mi here, and then we'll see later, we'll build in to make that chord. Then what would this chord be?
That'd be a 5.
The bottom is the sol, right? And then up on top somewhere we'll have T and re. And then what happens here? What chord is this?
It's a 4.
That's 4, the fa, right? And then there's a little bit of motion here. Actually, total cheating. This is parallel fifths. Sounds great. It's not traditional hymn writing. Who cares? But there's movement together, and then we come back to a 1 right here. So basically, it's our most basic chords: 1, 5, 4, and then we go back to a 1. Now let's look at our and actually probably time to put the words in here. Let's put them in real quick. Okay. Then down here, same with the bass, right? And one thing that can be helpful, it doesn't always turn out this way, but if you have 4 different parts singing 4 different things at once, we will not hear it all at once. Usually one of the things that we're looking for that can help is that some of the parts are the same or are very simple. And it's not always going to be like this. The last one we'll look at is the greatest commands, which it kind of does that, right? But this also makes it simpler to write. Can you see that so far this is very simple?
Yes.
Yeah, let's hear what we have so far. All right. And as we said before, if you're going to write a song like this, I don't know how the author wrote this, but if you're going to write a song like this, you lay it out first, and then later on you can do like these adding kind of things, right? But if you know how all the parts go ahead of time, which Steven started to do this week, and did a good job, then you're going to be ready to later on play with them and bring them in and out. So the next one that we already talked about is the alto. And it goes right under in thirds, but it does this. All right, and then let's fill in the words, because the words are why we do this. All right, does that look familiar? And notice what's happened here. Do you remember before we just had long notes in every measure? Do you remember when we did that at the beginning?
Yes.
It's still the same long note here. We've just cut it up into a bunch of pieces to match the words. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. And the rhythm fits in, it matches. It matches at the right point. We even have a little suspension here where just for a second I move out of the chord. But if you know your chord again, this is the 1. This is the entire 5 chord, right? So the 5 chord is so, ti, re. Look what we have. So, ti, re. This is your entire 4 chord. Fa, la, do. You see it all planned out? And so because of that, that's why it works. Let's hear what it sounds like now. So we're already hearing most of the harmony is there already. Does anybody happen to know what's missing at the end? Okay, first of all, I'll show you. The 1 is where we usually end. Memorize this, like we learned in hymn writing class. Usually, if you hear people doing old school, they might sound the pitch pipe at the beginning or something, but they go do mi sol because they're looking for where that basic 1 chord is. And almost all songs end on that 1 chord. So looking at this very last 1 chord here, can anybody see what's missing?
The me.
It's the me, right? So who's going to have to take the me?
The tenor.
Tenor.
Tenor, exactly, right? So this is the way you learn to think. Again, we learned that in harmony class. It's like putting together a puzzle. You see what part is missing and you figure out where to put it. Now let's look here. Again, the 1 chord. What's missing here?
So.
Sol, right? So that's what we're going to fill in with the tenor. And they do it in quite an interesting fashion. 16th notes. Sorry, 16th notes. What I'm going to show really quick is that, again, this would be the gotta be ready when he calls my name. That would be the square way of doing it. But they actually use the syncopated version. And let's see if we can fit all these words in here. Gotta be ready when he calls my name. And I think I'm only going to write the words once because there won't even be room on the page if I write them everything. I would spread them out. But that's what it's going to look like. Let me get rid of these words because they won't fit. I want to have it all on one page here. Okay. Wow, and now we have all this rhythm happening at once. It's really nice. But notice where it fits in. So again, this is the 1 chord right here. And notice there was one little nice little note out of it. So, la, so. Very nice. And then here we have the 5 chord. Sol, sol, ti, re. What's going to happen here? You might notice everything's moving down. So in this case, the tenor is going to move down and it will sing the same thing, but 1 step lower. So notice the structure is really there. Like, even if this is kind of new to us to see how it works, can you see the structure? Can you see how it's just moving down one step?
Mhm.
The structure is very clear. And then the endings, anybody know how the ending goes for the tenor? Yeah, exactly. Someday. Everybody sing someday together. And so that's what we have. Right, right. And so probably most of you heard it. Let me see. Let's try doing this. Most of you heard it probably this way. Right? How many heard it this way? Right? And then what happens? And then and finally, and you think, wow, it's so amazing. Where did this come from? It all comes from planning it ahead, planning it at the beginning. My guess, again, I don't know, but my guess is this is probably the first thing that crossed the person's mind. Like we learned that you write a melody and then you think of the bass to tell you what kind of what do you call it? What chords it's going to have, and then probably this came next. And I can really tell that it came next because can you see how it follows? It drops and drops, and this one drops and drops. They follow each other very much. And then probably was the question like, what can I do to fill this up? And you get this, an extra part that fits. And when you put it all together, what do you have? This famous song that we know. So there we go. Are we able to see how it works?
Yes, yes.
And if we were to break it down, we could go back to like just making it very simple. Like this looks like a lot of notes, but remember, this is only one note. This is only one note. This is basically only one note. This is one note. And all it is just putting a lot of words to that one note. And then here we change chords, but that's all one note. That's all one note, except for that little jump. That's all one note. This is all one note. But it sounds so beautiful.
Yes.
That's what harmony is. It's all those notes coming together. So in the last hour, what I hope to do is just look at two more, and some in a way they're a little bit simpler, and but the last two will be Seek Ye First. How many of you know that one? Seek Ye First, the Kingdom of God.
Yes.
Yes.
And then finally, the Greatest Commands. Want to just look at those, analyze them, learn a little bit how they work, and let me just pull out really quick before we go. Then let me pull out Stephen's song. Da-da-da. This one. I'll show you this one. And Stephen actually started doing it this week. Now, I don't know. But yeah, it came out pretty good. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but you're writing an F. Did you notice that?
I, I did.
All right, so the thing to do would be to change it to F, and now we'll have our correct shapes. Does that make sense?
It does. Yes.
Yeah. All right, so let's listen to this. All right. Now, is this maybe an idea of like making it a chorus to the other song you were working on?
Well, no, I was wanting to just do a part song like you were talking about us doing last week, and so I wanted to try it this way. I'm not sure what the end result's going to be, which song I'm going to like, which version of these lyrics I'm going to like better, you know.
Right.
But I did want to try something like this because it looked so fun last week.
Yeah. And so, what did you think as you were doing it?
Up to this point, it's good, but I'm not sure how I'm going to finish out the whole song this way, though. That's
Right.
this,
Right.
this part was easy. I was following kind of step by step what you told us last week, and it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah. And so you put the thirds together, and it's cool. What did it feel like when you heard them all at once?
Well, yeah, I was pretty pleased with how that worked out. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Okay. Good. Good.
because
Good.
what you're showing us last week is it's kind of automatically going to do so because you're doing the thirds and everything. That was nice and easy,
Mhm.
and so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. 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 And unfortunately, you didn't run into too many problems because that's when you learn how to fix like all the little problems. This song works pretty much great. It worked right away, which is cool. And just a possibility would be to make, like I said, maybe make this the chorus. So I know you have like a verse, right? And then
I've actually got like six verses. It's going to be a long song if it all gets put together.
oh, good, good, good. Yeah, I had some suggestions about the verses too, but I'd love to see them all. Yeah. But this might be, or even it might be. Have you heard of a coda? Have you guys heard of a coda? The idea of a coda is it's something that goes on the end, or like a tag. So maybe like you sing the whole song through, and then at the end there's this coda that does not repeat, but that's the end of it. And that sometimes is a nice place to put these kind of part songs.
Oh, yeah. That could be cool. Yeah.
Like have, so you've sung the whole song and then you sing part one, part two, part three, part four, and end it, something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a
I call
possibility.
it a tag. I
Uh-huh.
call it a tag. I have a lot of songs that ends in a little tag, just a short phrase or something.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a possibility. One place you can fit it in. And again, that's the great thing about writing choruses. It might end up being a standalone chorus, or it might end up being a song that has verses, but you still wrote your chorus, and the chorus fits in there great. So that's one of the neat things about choruses. But anyway, great job at making the part song happen.
Yes.
Just really quick, what's obviously missing?
The bass.
The bass, right? So what would you do with the bass?
I don't know.
Right. Okay. So you could start playing with it, mostly just like in Someday here, right? Notice how simple this is. Aside from our little move here, we've talked about this many times before. The bass is usually going to be very, very simple, right? Do, fa, so.
Okay.
And let's see, like just one that comes to mind really quick would be sorry, we're in F. In obedience to, and I was thinking going back up to, oh no, look what's happened here. What have we not done? Sorry.
Shape notes.
Yeah, let me go back and see if I remember how. Let's see. Let's see.
I'm back.
All right, so let's just take a quick look. I totally rewrote your song while you're gone. No, just kidding. All right, let's see. From the beginning here. All right, so one problem happens here. What chord do I have there?
Well, it's not a one, that's for sure. Let's see. Lati-do would be what, five? Is that, wait, no.
So yeah, we could, but
Six.
what would be
Here's six.
most? Yeah, we could do a 6. I don't think you want that. If we're just doing this, what would it have to be?
Okay, let me change the note to the bass to a sol.
A 5.
Oh, Hal got it. Hal jumped in and got
Oh, how? Way to go.
it. Yeah, why would it be a fa?
But it's a 4 chord, right?
Yes, it's a 4 chord, exactly.
Yeah.
So since that la out of this, if we were to follow only these chords, la only gives us one choice. Fa would have to be the root. So let's hear that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's-
So if I were to take, so I'm thinking in obedience to the Lord. So if we were to take that, and that'd be the next thing, does it work with everything, right? So you see what I did, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's see what happens. What do you think?
It sounds pretty good. I
And
think I'm gonna do something different with the words on the bass, though. Is that gonna be too complicated, do you think?
not necessarily. So that's the question. And then you ask yourself that, right? Does it fit in? Is it too much? That's the question you ask. And the last thing we're going to look at with some of the songs is, again, if you come in part by part, that's when at least we hear all the parts. If we were to hear them all at once, like in my Psalm 8 song, which was on purpose all at once, it's going to have an effect of overwhelming you. In this case, you know, what we want maybe to hear each part one by one. And you've already got these, you know, but that's why my recommendation would be to stick pretty close with the bass,
Mm-hmm.
because our goal is to hear the melody. Take your thoughts all captive to the Lord. And I think if everybody else is singing in obedience to the Lord, then this will really stand out.
Okay.
So you'll clearly hear that's the melody. This is the background, right? And does that make sense?
Right. So, how would you have the voices come in? Would you do it more like some of the songs that we sing in rounds, where you got the soprano and then the bass, and then maybe the alto and the tenor, or
Right.
like someday puts the bass in last, but that's
Yes. I think it kind of sounds nice the way you have it here, where you start low and then you add the higher one.
mm-hmm.
The way that would, and you had it set up kind of a round, right? So you start here and then do the repeat.
Yes, sir.
So another suggestion I would suggest doing this is have the alto just sing this over and over again. That's the other kind of a part song, like Someday. That makes sense?
Have the alto sing without going up any, just the same thing over and over again?
Yes, which is, if we go back to it, that's basically what Someday does, right? So there's kind of two things you can do when you're done with your part song. You can make it like we did around, where you keep, you sing all four different, like one voice will sing all four different parts, and people start at different times, right?
Mhm.
But this one, the sopranos sing the same thing every time. They don't go down and sing this next. Does that make sense?
Right.
And for your song, I think it would be easier and sound pretty nice if the altos just sing this all the time. Does that
And
make
then the sopranos would sing the higher note all the time?
And exactly, they would sing that. They would just keep singing that over and over again.
Okay.
It's just a possibility, but that's the way I hear it. I think it'd sound very nice. Maybe like first time, just all altos sing twice, and then all the sopranos sing twice, and then the bass sing twice, and then finally, boom, in comes your beautiful melody, and it's very clear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, let me see. Just for now to hear it, something like this. But I would repeat it twice. But anyway. And I would bring the melody in later.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe just once. I kind of like, the way you sing it once and then immediately you have the thirds here. That's
Yeah, I kind of liked it once there too. I thought, I think twice is too much, maybe.
Yeah, okay. And then the bass, in obedience to the Lord.
And then Take Your Thoughts Off after hits in there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to have one little trick. We have a decision to make, because what chord does everything end on?
Hopefully a 1.
So, but notice, according to what we have, right, it's always ending on what?
5 there. No, wait. Fa la do. That's a 4. Yeah.
Yeah. And, this is kind of funny, but let me just throw this out there. That would be an interesting ending. Sometimes songs end that way.
Sometimes they do.
Yes, it's like kind of leaves you hanging. So the question is, would you resolve that and bring it back to a 1, or would you leave it hanging? And I'm just gonna let you know this sol here actually makes a really cool chord. It's up to you if you'd like to do it, but let me make it this. And, the same thing you had there, but just make it last the whole.
Yeah, the whole measure.
Right. Let's just hear that. So, okay, with your permission, I will.
Oh, yeah.
I get this stuff out of the way, and let's see. There should be a tie on each one. Okay, so we'll just have it continue all the way, right? Each note will continue on out. And the way it just happens to work, sometimes this happens, if you were to hold each of them out, let's hear what it would sound like. Oops. How do I?
You can go ahead and delete measures 10, 11, 12. Those down there.
Yeah. So This is what we call an added second here. It fits in, so that's your root, third, fifth, and then that's added second. All right, let's just hear how that ending would sound. And you can decide if you like it. It's a more modern idea.
Yep.
The
Yep.
other thing is we could make everything resolve. Like this la would go down to sol. This would probably give you a fa mi, and then this would come back up to do. That's how you would. We've done that before. Does that make sense to you, Steve?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that would be our getting it back to the one.
Yeah, but you're right. It's not a bad sound there to end on that.
No,
And,
it's kind of cool. And one of the cool things about chords like that is they're very hard to hit because they're modern and people can't do them. But if people are singing their part and then they just keep holding that note, this is just another thing. But these are actually really not hard to hit for musicians. But some people have a hard time. But if people sing their parts one at a time, I've taught a lot of people sing parts by using this song because it's very easy to get your part. And then I think some of you have heard it done before, right? After you all sing your separate parts, then everybody sings someday. Have you done that before?
yes.
That's what often happens with this. And all of a sudden, everybody's singing in harmony because they're all singing their own note. I tried to tell them, people who don't know how to do this, hey, sing someday in harmony. Here's your part. People don't get it. But if they sing their part, you know, that's the cool thing about part songs. You can hear it. Sometimes people hear it a little better. And then you say, I'll sing someday. They all, get the harmony, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I've really enjoyed teaching people harmony with this song. It makes it fun. So even though that chord is not an easy one, if people just finish on their part, it's going to automatically happen.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So a lot of possibilities.
And it has kind of a cool effect there in that it doesn't leave you saying it's not finished yet, but it does leave you thinking that there's still something more. Though I don't know. It's kind of like in between.
Yeah, and since your song is about, hey, think about it, it has a possibility. Because some songs you're like, God is great and good, boom, gotta end on a one. But since this one I know is a very thoughtful one about, hey, we should think about what we're thinking, possibilities.
Yes, sir. Thank you.